everybody, and welcome to That's Football. No way has Gary Neville and Arsenal done this, and it's separate things. We're joined by Lawrence, or Lars, as some might know him. How you doing, pal?
Good. You have a rotating cast now on this channel. You've got like me, you've got Robbie, two very similar personalities. I think you need to add someone. You need a third person outside of Will, obviously.
Yeah, Will does the podcast as well. So yeah this is 2025. People talking to Goldbridge, but one person I'd love to talk to. Really? He's dodged me in the past. No, I don't actually want to talk to Gary Neville anymore. That overlap thing got overdone, but I don't need to talk to him because he can talk what he talks, and then I can talk to you about what he said. So we're going to talk about two things here. Arsenal's incredible bid for Ollie Watkins, which I still want to talk to you. Well, actually, I've been looking forward to the chat so we can sort of work out what's going on there, and maybe you can in the comments as well. Strange. But let's start off with Gary Neville, who's took the headlines. No way has Gary Neville said this again. So he's done his podcast. It's a closed shop. You can only sit in the background and ask questions that will get scripted and edited later.
Sure.
But he has been speaking about the red card at the weekend that has been rescinded by the FA. And he has basically said that it's not good. I don't know whether he used the words disgraceful, but he said it's not on that Michael Oliver has been removed from the Arsenal-Man City game. He's the best referee in the world, in the country, one of the best in the world, and he made a mistake. The floor is yours, Lawrence.
Multiple things to pick up on here, surely, Mark.
There is more. There is more as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess my initial reaction to that is I don't think Michael Oliver is the best referee in, first of all, in the world. I don't think he's
on his street. On his street.
I've got to admit, I think we're serially coming to the conclusion now that the referees in this country are not doing a good enough job, but it's not the same reason over and over and over again. It's not just incompetence. Sometimes it's main character syndrome, shall we say, which I'd imagine a lot of people on this channel can relate to. But you know, the whole point is you don't want someone who's got that as their personality type. Oliver rushed to a conclusion, and the thing that I said was, I can understand why it was given in the moment, because you can see the open boot, you can see it going on his ankle, but I don't understand why the process wasn't therefore followed to say, well, was it really a red, or should you have done a yellow live? I don't get why that didn't happen. I get when a referee goes, there's been a foul, it looks really bad. In my mind, it's a red card, so I'm giving a red card. I understand that. But I don't get all of this hoo-ha afterwards. And I don't get why Neville is wading in, particularly with maybe this angle. It doesn't seem like I don't get what the angle is, if that makes sense. I don't get why you take this particular approach.
Well, you might remember it as a Liverpool fan. I certainly did, not as a Liverpool fan. I don't want to go down that road. The offside for Liverpool.
Luis Diaz,
Spurs. Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville on the night. Oh, it's an absolute joke. 24 hours later, come on. Liverpool's reactions ridiculous. It was like an overnight change. When I was at TalkSport, PGMOL had fortnightly meetings with the mainstream. The relationship is cozy, which is fine because they're all running a business. I get that, but I think sometimes, to me, cynically, the relationship becomes cozy, mates rates, and we're doing exactly what we're doing with the referees, where Michael Oliver gets a quick red card out against Arsenal and VAR goes, oh, what's Ollie done there? How do we help Ollie out? Which is why I've always said they need to be separated. Gary Neville, Howard Webb's been on the bloody plot. That Howard Webb's been there. He hasn't just turned up in a box and gone, hello, I'm here for an hour, back in the box. They'll have had a coffee, they'll have had a chat. There's a relationship, and as we know, when there's relationships, you sort of want to help people out. But I think what Gary Neville's done is, and I agree with what you said, is that why is he making this point? It's going to antagonize people. And I know that I jokingly call him the Prime Minister of football because I think he wants to be, but like any Prime Minister,
Tony Blair, isn't he?
Well, yeah, but you will be held accountable.
This is his Iraq.
Yeah, you're going to be held accountable. And to look, I know people out there have got lists of Michael Oliver mistakes, but in the last 8 months, 3 very big ones. The Liverpool one, where they're actually using it as an example on the Premier League website, as we know, as a high-foot challenge, which he didn't give, and overruled, and VAR didn't come in again. The VAR that got Ten Hag sacked, where it wasn't a penalty by De Ligt, and he was on VAR and said, have a look at this. And then we've had this Arsenal one. He has a mind of his own, which should be applauded, but he's not a good referee. He's not a good referee. And when Gary Neville says, and this is what he said, I can't believe he's been taken off the Arsenal Man City game. He's the best referee in the world. He's not going to get swayed in a game like that. I think, but mate, it's not one mistake. There is unfortunately horrible things that have been said about Michael Oliver, and we do not condone them. They're disgusting, and those people need dealing with. But there is nothing wrong with saying he is factually one of the worst referees at the highest level in the Premier League, and that he shouldn't be on the Arsenal Man City. He shouldn't be anywhere near it. In fact, last year, Arsenal Man City, Kovacic did 2 red card tackles at Emirates. Michael Oliver was the referee. Neither was a red. So the list is, I don't know what Gary Neville's on there, because he can't win that debate. And I would like that debate with him, because I know I would win it. I would win any debate with him, but I would absolutely obliterate him on that, because it's factual loss, unfortunately.
I think the problem for you would be if you debated him on croissants, it would become like a kind of, that's his speciality. So he's very good at going, oh, what's this? Oh, is that a vegan one? He got vegan ones there, didn't he? Oh, and then
tell you what, if he got me on croissants and said, I'm only doing it at 4:30 in the morning, he'd definitely win, because he's definitely better at getting up and attacking the day than me. I mean, I don't get up before 7. I think he's up at 4:30. So if he said, I'll do it on croissants at 4:30 in the morning, I'm done.
Would you not prepare the previous nights and sort of wake up at 4:30, maybe debate someone, have a little spa beforehand?
I'd find getting up at that time very difficult. I'd be better off not going to bed, but that means drinking, which would make for a good stream. Yeah. I've been up all night. Shove your croissants up your arse.
You and Gary, one bottle deep between you. I think that's just a good format. At this point, I actually don't understand why that hasn't happened. I guess from my perspective, it's less about, is this, I get it. Is this person a good referee? Are they a bad referee? We need to almost subjectively work that out, but it's very difficult because every situation is subjective. It's more of a trust issue for me at this point. And I think the referees are speaking, or the PGMOL or the people who want to represent the side of the referees are making it into a thing about sides. It's been made, it's a very English, and I get it, all referees are slightly unusual people. You have to be a weird person to want to go out there and do that in the first place, if that makes sense. Maybe you love the game or whatever, but there's very few referees that I've met where I've thought, yeah, this seems normal, what you're doing. Not that they're not nice people, but just that something feels they feel different. They feel a bit separate from the group. Do you know what I mean? And what I mean by that is there's a trust issue, I think, between us and referees at this point. The referees go, well, you attack us, so we have to defend ourselves. But then my reply is, well, we feel we have to vent in some way. We have to say something if something goes wrong. And if you're a referee and you can't take criticism, or you can't understand why someone would criticize your decision, then maybe that it has to be seen as part of the territory of being a referee, that your decisions will be criticized. Surely that's part of the territory of being a referee. So you have to have a mechanism in place to defend the referees and say, that's too far. You've become personal. You've messaged his wife or his girlfriend or whatever, too much. But also you have to say the other way of, well, yeah, people are allowed and should be allowed to question your decision. And we shouldn't just have this cozy relationship between the media and the PGMOL where suddenly people are changing their opinions almost wholesale just to accommodate what needs to be said. And part of me thinks, I definitely think it's a Premier League branding issue that we slightly have here, where no one can be questioned. Everyone must be, for want of a better term, like whiter than white in terms of doing your laundry. And they have to be very, I guess, almost like dialed back. You can't ever really be honest because everyone around you is kind of doing this play along. No, say the thing, play along.
Pantomime.
Yeah, and you can't, knowing that about TalkSport, having the meeting with the PGMOL every couple of weeks, knowing that about Sky, it makes me think, well, how can these people authentically express their opinions if we aren't having this level of transparency where TalkSport and everyone else do tell us, by the way, we do meet with PGMOL. By the way, we do have an interest in, because we're a broadcaster, we can't say X and Y. Why isn't that more transparent? I think it's transparency that I don't like.
Yeah, I think that without doubt, we are living in a footballing world where we are being manipulated and fans
protect the brand. Protect the brand is what it is. It's protect the brand over protect the fans.
Yeah. And I think when you look at what really frustrates me is that when that happened to Liverpool with the offside, everyone was on their side, and then the media twist because they've got to protect the PGMOL and the Premier League brand. And then suddenly you end up with it's us against them. And with Arsenal at the weekend, everyone's on Arsenal's side, but then 24 hours later, it's like, oh, we're again, it's Arsenal against them. I mean, Manchester United, when we played Arsenal in the FA Cup a couple of weeks ago, the referee's the worst I've ever seen. And I said on the watch along, I really wish this wasn't a Man United game for two reasons. One, why is it happening to us? But two, I'd be able to cover this better if it wasn't Man United and people were saying, oh, it's because he's a United fan, because he was absolutely abysmal. But going back to Liverpool and Arsenal, why are they... It's almost like the longer you get away from the event, the more the drip effect of, oh, Arsenal. I mean, Gary Neville said that, in our day, we were told to get into the face of referees, but there wasn't social media. Arsenal are doing the same, and all these calls of corruption and cheating and all that, that's because it's being influenced by them and other people in the media. And it's like, so what you're basically saying is that it wasn't an outrageous red card, and Michael Oliver hasn't got a dubious past around bad decisions. It's basically dark arts from Arsenal again, which we've heard a lot of, getting into the media and putting it out there that, oh, is it corruption? Is it cheating? This, that, and the other. But this is a self-made... You made a great point about referees and accountability. Great leaders learn. Great leaders listen. And what we have in the PGMOL, we don't have great leadership. It all the time is... Howard Webb will be out there with Michael Owen going, what's the angle to make this not our fault? Because we do not want to be accountable at all.
And I think initially when they launched that show, there was a bunch of accountability in inverted commas, where it was all about, we found the decision, guys. We found the one decision we got wrong that weekend, and we're here to be accountable on the show. And then everyone just forgot about the show because they realized the show wasn't doing anything of any worth. It was basically just a PR exercise to try and just go, all right, move on. And the thing that really annoyed me about the offside in particular, it was very, and I guess to an extent this red card was, you probably have a similar thing. You've got like groups of fans, you have people who watch along with you, who watch in Australia, America, all different places. It was only the UK where we didn't see that offside repeated as a broadcast, as a country. We didn't see the lines drawn in the UK, but other people in my Discord or whatever were saying, well, yeah, we've seen this a couple of times. We're discussing it very openly. It was so clear that there had been a briefing from someone going, don't show that.
Yeah.
Don't it
goes back to what we said, manipulation, isn't it?
It goes back to manipulation. And it's not so much that I have a problem with protecting humans or saying, I don't want to see Michael Oliver cancelled. I don't want to see someone lose their job. That's not the point here. The process should be, Michael Oliver's made a mistake. There should be a public inquiry of sorts, not like a serious one, but one where we inquire as to why. We can see Michael Oliver speaking about it. We can get him to explain his thought process, whatever it is, and there can be a public discourse around this. Instead, they go, oh, we've got to batten down the hatches. No one goes near Michael for weeks. Take him off that game. Don't let him get out there because it'll be terrible. But all because we don't trust them because of the way they've acted anyway.
You know what? Michael Oliver's done a lot wrong. Anthony Taylor's done a lot wrong. There's a lot of referees done a lot wrong. And what the PGMOL and Howard Webb don't do is they don't listen, because they just think we're better than you. You're just noisy. You're toxic. You're making this, that, and the other up. I've said for 18 months, separate the VAR and the referees. Don't have them as mates, have them two professional bodies who are not accountable to each other, so that when Michael Oliver pulls the red card out, me and you are on VAR, for example, and we go, we're not calling him bloody Ollie, we're calling him Michael. Yeah. Wait there, Michael, we're just going to have a look at it. And we're specialists. And then we go back to him and go, right, okay, we've looked at it. Genuinely do not think this is a red card. I think you need to look at it. And if you make that on-field decision, that's on you. But genuinely, there's not enough there for a red card for us. He walks over. He looks at it, goes, shit, VAR's telling me they don't think it's a red card, so they haven't got my back. Right, my little superstar pull out the red card too quick act. Am I going to follow that through, or am I going to own this? And maybe he does, and then he gets the criticism. Or does he go, right, I've been questioned here. Let me have a look at it. Yeah, okay, it's not. No red card, yellow. And everyone goes, brilliant, Michael Oliver. You know what? I've given him loads of stick in the past, but you know what? He's made a mistake there. He's had a look at it, and he's gone, I've got it wrong. This is how VAR works. And, everybody goes, well done, but they don't. They cover it up.
And I think that's probably the biggest issue for me, is the lack of transparency. And I guess my final point is based around, I guess, Michael Oliver himself and us being able to say you do sometimes go to countries where they'll pay you quite well to be a referee there. Why is that not covered more openly? And why is it that the broadcasters in the Premier League feel like they're in bed together rather than able to challenge? A journalist's job is to challenge what is going on and not just to tell you and report what is given to them and to be critical. And especially considering what Gary Neville is advocating for, or has advocated for quite a while now, which is an independent body which regulates the UK in terms of football, surely he sees why this is a problem, because he would think, well, an independent regulator would be really handy here as well, if that is indeed what Gary is still advocating for. I've not seen him speak about it in quite some time, though I did see him speak about it when it seemed like it was a trendy thing to do.
My final point, and we'll talk about Ollie Watkins, is that the Overlap is the biggest sports podcast around football in the UK and one of the biggest in the world. And therefore, it is our responsibility as an alternative to call it out. And obviously that conversation is always open. It won't happen and it doesn't need to happen. I don't care, but we can call it out because it is such a big platform. And I think it's massively irresponsible of Gary Neville, even if he genuinely holds that belief, to be sat there going, Michael Oliver's made one mistake. He shouldn't be coming off the Arsenal-Man City game. He's one of the best referees in the country. Because quite factually, not opinionated, factually, he is not. And if you ran a poll, nobody would be backing you on that. So for me, that's projecting a strange opinion to the masses. And I just wonder what the motivation is and what the conversations that have taken place behind that are.
Right. I know what the motivation is, and I know how this conversation goes. It's actually that, and we can almost.
You make a lot of money out of Sky.
Right. I mean, that tick, number one. Number two, I know that there will be people who would watch this video from inside the organisation, because with your level of numbers, there's no way that someone who works at the Premier League or someone doesn't watch this, and there isn't some form of even just casual discussion around the water cooler, if water coolers still exist, right?
Hopefully,
I don't know. A lot of people take those things to work now. You know, the thing that they, yeah. So anyway, that conversation's had, and I know the way that goes. First of all, it's just business, guys. Why do these guys care that much? They try and soften the blow of it, and they try and soften whatever it is that the criticism is by saying to Arsenal fans, "Whoa, you're getting a bit emotional here, aren't you, mate? Oh, you bit much. It's just football, isn't it? Relax, mate. Don't worry about it." For not realizing that there are plenty of people who pay basically any of their income to go to football year round and really care about the outcomes of these games. I respect that. I think committing to that lifestyle, I think, is a real commitment. And I think a lot of people don't understand that level of commitment to a football team because they've never lived it like that. There are very few people who follow teams week in, week out and do it in that way. It's very hard to do that from a broadcaster's perspective anyway, because you don't follow teams in the same way once you broadcast like that. You begin to become a little bit separate from it because of the nature of your job. And then the other aspect which goes on top of that is they then go, it's just business. Come on, guys, it's just business.
Just football, yeah.
And I hate the phrase in entertainment and any of these things, it's just business. No, to us, and all the best managers say it, this means way more than that. Bill Shankly's got that famous quote, football is life and death. Well, no, I can assure you it's way more important than that. Like, he said that ironically, but he meant it to have a weight, that why football means so much to us. And I feel like we've moved away from that purely because of, we've got a big business and a lot of money to be made. And it's like, shh, mate, don't ruin the money.
But that's exactly right, isn't it? Because when you think about why is Gary Neville saying, why has he been took off the Arsenal-Man City game? Well, it's quite simple, Gary. He ruined that game at the weekend. Yeah. And many referees are ruining the experience for football fans. Right. How many times have we had Liverpool, Man United fans sticking up for Arsenal, or Liverpool was offside, Man United fans going, that's a disgrace. That's a very big message that you are ruining the game. This is beyond rivalry. You are ruining the game. So when Gary Neville or Howard Webb or anyone else sits there and goes, why has he been took off the Arsenal-Man City game? he's made a mistake, because it's more than a mistake. You are ruining the game, and these people need to stop ruining the game. And what irritates me is that so many times this week I've said about Michael Oliver making the mistake or whatever, and you'll get somebody go, yeah, but death threats are never okay. And I'm like,
of course not.
Death threats are not okay, but that's a minority of people who are being dealt with. Why are we being shamed with death threats because we're saying he's a crap referee? Yeah. And again, that's sort of like, some people have said that, is it, it's almost been thrown in there to, soften the argument. But look, it's disgusting, death threats. It doesn't, the fact remains though, he's still a crap referee and shouldn't be doing the Arsenal Man City game. Anyway, let's throw that open to the comments. Everyone else can have their chat. Very interesting that that's back in there because of what we were talking about. Ollie Watkins. Wow. Talk to me about this, Loz, and everybody. Right, last night, settling in for the Champions League. Duran's off to Saudi. That's a conversation in itself. Bloody hell, 21 years of age going there. But Ollie Watkins' bid from Arsenal, meant to be about £60 million. And you apparently they're going to go back in there. Villa going to end up with well over £150 million in their pocket, but no strikers. Don't think that's going to happen. Sure. Arsenal needed a striker for ages. I've said for ages, and Ollie Watkins would probably win in the league. They actually go for Ollie Watkins, but it's desperate, it's late. What's your interpretation of this? What's going on? Because I'm still trying to figure out what the plan is from Arsenal there and why they thought it would work.
Doesn't there have to be some sort of logic behind it that it's either one camp or the other for me in the way that I would break it down? First of all, either the player has indicated, if you made a bid, I could force my way out. And maybe he doesn't know about the Duran thing. Players might not talk at that point. Maybe the player's being told, shut up, don't say anything. So Ollie Watkins' agent goes, yeah, come in for us. And then Duran's agent goes, well, we're going to Saudi. And Aston Villa aren't going to let anyone go. Or it's that Arsenal have another thing that they're negotiating right now, and they want to use Ollie Watkins as a smokescreen / a way of forcing that other person's hand that they're negotiating with to go, no, well, they'll go for Ollie Watkins, and then no one's going to take Victor Osimhen or whoever it is that they're going for.
Benjamin Sesko.
Right, Benjamin Sesko, yeah, or whoever you want to, put up on that list, right? Those are the two possible scenarios. But if I was Aston Villa, the first thing I would tweet out is, what are they smoking over there?
Yeah.
That's the first thing I'd say. Because Arsenal just now have a hit. And, I've had a bad week with Arsenal fans. I got abused quite a lot. No death threats as such, but quite a lot.
There probably is some out there, though, mate. If you want to find them and make a complaint about it and make a big deal, there will be some out there.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure I could cook some up in ChatGPT and paste them into a chat somewhere and then say that I've had some death threats. But, the point is, I've had a lot of run-ins this week with Arsenal fans, so I kind of want to avoid this. But genuinely, what's the deal here, mate? Like, what are you doing bidding on Ollie Watkins? It can't be a serious bid because they just know that's never going to happen.
No, I agree. And I think the other thing I thought was, have they got a sniff of the Duran deal and thought, can we swoop in quickly and get Watkins? Because I know Aston Villa weren't happy about the bid going in right before a big Champions League game, which you can sympathise with.
That's also weird, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are Arsenal not? I mean, I suppose the whole team don't travel with Arsenal. The transfer team don't go with the team. But surely someone goes, guys, administratively, they're going to be settling down for the Champions League game now, aren't they?
Yeah, this perfect time. Time.
Yeah. Or we'll just pop the fax over then. Why are we faxing them? Send an email, surely. Call them if you're going to bid for their number one striker. But don't do it 20 minutes before the game.
It is. It's like dropping some bad news to somebody on Christmas Eve when they're just tucking into a family meal, and that's what they did. And I think that, but what I would say is that maybe the John Duran thing was moving so quick that they just went, well, there's an offer for Ollie Watkins if you don't want to sell Duran. But even that doesn't make sense because Duran's obviously pushing that move with his agent to Saudi. Yeah. So why would Arsenal go, yeah, we'll sell Watkins and force Duran to stop him earning 600 grand a week? Because Duran's obviously at 21. Selling his career down the road for money, which he's got every entitlement to do. I don't get that. I don't understand that.
Yeah. But does it free you up for the rest of your career? Is it sort of like doing a Marvel movie early on, and then later on in your life, you can essentially just do the weird ones where you play like a pervert or something for a whole film? I
just think as a footballer, though, at 21, you're in the Premier League, you're still learning, and then the big money comes from Saudi, and you think, yeah, I do want to go and play in an inferior league for massive money against 80% average, well, let's be honest, poor players. I want to go to the circus at 21, and it is a circus. I mean, like, I think it's really interesting what Saudi are doing, and they're starting to buy younger players now. But even then, you need to buy about 400 of them to make your league competitive, and is that going to happen?
Can I just say, I still don't get why Saudi football is not. If I'm Saudi, which I'm not, it might shock you to hear. I would pay a UK broadcaster to put our games on mainstream TV rather than saying which UK broadcaster can take them and put them on ITV4, please. That makes no sense to me. If I'm them, I'm going, we've got Ronaldo, we've got, Firmino, we've got Steven Gerrard, ITV, here you go, BBC. I can't give it to a broadcast like that, but anyone, I'd come to Goldbridge. I'd come to Goldbridge and I'd go, do you want a Cristiano Ronaldo game? You don't even have to sit there for it, Mark. You can put one of your little nicks on it that, works on whatever. You got that loser, the little one that you do the podcast with. Laurence McKenna? No, the other one. Robbie? Yeah. No, the other one. What, the guy
I don't work with Rory Jennings. What are you talking about?
Right, exactly. And they all look the same, really. Aren't they all just the same character, just slightly different levels of controversy?
Yeah.
And that's my point, though. Why is no one paying anyone to put it on the YouTube? It makes no sense. You got Ronaldo. It
makes total sense. But I think my concern is, as somebody who hasn't really watched Saudi football, is that it might not actually be very good. So that
when people
are people going to watch it?
It doesn't. Honestly, Mark, that's almost irrelevant. If you're the marketers of the Saudi league, you almost go, "This is a work in progress, guys. We're innovative. We're smart. We know what we're doing. We are going to give it to a relatively young broadcaster. He looks in his 30s, and we're going to let him put it on social and just put it everywhere." I don't get it. Why are you paying all this money for Duran and all these other guys if you're not going to then?
Mate, I did a live watch along for the Austrian league. I'm not going to not do it for the Saudi league, am I?
Exactly. No one's turning Ronaldo. And if you put Ronaldo in the title, legitimately, by the way, you're golden. What's the deal? I'm just saying. Saudi,
it is interesting. It is interesting what they're doing, though, because they've gone from this, we don't want the Casemiras anymore, to the Durans. And whilst I don't get why you'd go at 21,
sure,
I can't tell him he can't. I remember Oscar and Ramirez going to China from Chelsea at 23 and 24, and I was like, what? But everybody's got their own life to lead, and I'm not going to judge it.
Didn't Oscar just finish his career there, by the way? So he's had a happy life out there in China, I think.
100%. They didn't go there for a couple of years, did they? But I think on Ollie Watkins, I wouldn't be surprised if Benjamin Sesko is an Arsenal player by Monday, because I think you're right.
Sure.
I think it was good. It's a good way of looking at it, and I hadn't actually thought of that. Is this just a smoke screen bid to make the player that you really want sort of go, hey, I might miss out on here?
Yeah.
And then Leipzig have just spent big money on Xavi Simons as well. So where are they getting that money from, having had a shit Champions League qualification campaign? I don't think they even made the qualifiers. So, yeah.
And that's the point there, is they need that. Arsenal need this as a piece, I think, to finish the season. And they must feel that Arsenal must feel that there is a title bid to be had. The AI and whatever other models they've got in the back have said, Liverpool will lose this game, and this game. And if you score 3 more goals over the course of these next 9 games, you'll win every one of them and you'll be within 2 points. Arteta says, we'll be within 2 points of Liverpool. All we need is a Ollie Watkins or a Sesko or whoever. Arsenal are going out there and doubling down essentially on Arteta. For me, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be happy about it, because we've unsettled someone who's, they're not a rival of sorts, but we've shown with the big boys who can go in and unsettle someone. But we're also showing intent, and I think at least Arsenal are showing intent right now.
Yeah, I think I'd take Watkins over Sesko, but he's the younger player, isn't he?
It's the money as well. Sesko's going to be cheaper than Watkins.
Yeah.
Watkins English though, so yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it there, because I think there's just so much for people to get their teeth into. Absolutely fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it, Loz.
Yeah, me too. I always enjoy chatting to you, so thanks for having me.
Had 2 great topics to talk about today as well, and I'm sure the comments will agree. Get your comments in below. Let us know your thoughts on that. Also, I've got my Driving with Goldbridge first episode back of 2025. I'll drop the link in the video description for you. If people could check that out, that would be great.
Just you on your own?
Yeah, I just do it sometimes.
Oh, lovely. Okay. Well, maybe we should go for another. We had a lovely drive that time.
That was a good series. I enjoyed that.
I want to do driving with Goldbridge, but the golf driving.
That would be a good video because I probably my first ever drive. I don't play golf. I've never played it.
Oh well, then this is Well, we have to do this then. I'll come your way. You've got some great courses around you, Mark.
Are you a golfer as well?
As a young man, less so now. It's hard when you live in London, innit? You can't where you're meant to go.
A lot of YouTubers seem to start golf, don't they? Like,
I'm not that type. I'm not the type that goes, guys, if we wake up at 6:30, we can get around in before 9. It's like, guys, just stay in bed. All right, just relax.
Just rest.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll speak to you next week. Good that.